Hi you guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the most recent trustee board meeting that was held at the Parks Department. Because like I've mentioned before in some of my previous videos, the mayor has continuously denied them access to Village Hall.
Once again, the mayor has changed the locks at the Village Hall. Everyone recall how orderly and how nice it was to walk into the village board meeting on Monday night when the Madam Clerk and the trustees had key fobs to get into the village. Once again, this is about the third time that she has changed the locks, so the elected officials do not have access and cannot get into the village hall.
By locking them out from time to time, just keeping them on their toes. But the mayor changing the locks couldn't stop them from having their meeting, which was a very important meeting that has been a long time coming. So back in April, the Board of Trustees hired former Mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, which a lot of people had their doubts about because she was not known to be the most competent mayor herself. But apparently, she makes one heck of an investigator. That could be because she has many connections due to her lengthy career as an attorney, a federal prosecutor, and assisting the FBI with investigations into Chicago corruption. Nonetheless, she has been digging, and this past Thursday, she revealed her findings at the Board of Trustees meeting. And while the trustees did express some vindication from their constant cries for transparency, they also expressed feelings of frustration and were even taken aback at some points due to the initial shock of certain information that they had not been privy to prior to the meeting. Let's watch as Trustee Tammy Brown explains her feelings after hearing some of the information Lori Lightfoot presented to them.
This is just unbelievable. I mean, to even sit here, even though I said last week, it's a stomach ache. I've been punched all over tonight. It's ridiculous to see how our tax dollars have been recklessly spent by this young lady. Every board meeting, I don't say much because I just can't see how the girl tell all them lies like that. It's unbelievable for a person to say that and for people to believe. So we thank God for Mayor Lightfoot's being here today, her presentation. Here is proof for everyone to see, and even the ones who doubt us. If you don't see through this, it's nothing I can say to you.
So, Trustee Tammy Brown is not lying. I'm going to play a little clip from a board meeting where the trustees are grilling Tiffany about so-called grant money and donation money that Tiffany is saying she used to build the basketball courts and all this other stuff. But yet at the same time, the trustees can't get the information about these so-called grants and donations that Tiffany says she's getting. Let's go ahead and watch because this is from 2022. This will give you an idea how far these issues go back and how long they've been battling with Tiffany about getting the information and about transparency.
We're already in a deficit. This going on to this month at almost $300,000. The spending is outrageous. Stuff that was supposed to be sponsored, that was told to be sponsored, we're paying for.
For the record, things that are sponsored, I did get sponsorships for. The only thing you could possibly be talking about is the basketball courts. I got the entire amount through donations.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't understand why you guys keep trying to remove the roof and window program, which is grant money for the residents, off the warrant list. Why would you not pay the contractors that's actually doing the work for the residents?
When we first talked about this ARPA money and the spending, which was in last October, that was for the first $1.5 million. There has been another $1.5 million that came in. There has been no discussion, so we have no idea where that money is going. Also, on August 24th, I sent the email asking to have on this agenda today for discussion of ARPA funds. So we will discuss it and we wouldn't be at where we are right now. And of course, it's not on the agenda. And then I spoke to the village administrator who said he would be available all weekend. I called him Saturday morning at 9:38. I called him Saturday afternoon at 1:27. I still have not called. I called you and you haven't called me back either.
What? Tiffany not answering the phone? When we know that's her signature line.
So we're gonna get it cleared up right now. And this is what I states to you guys all the time. If y'all have an issue or something's not being done, or maybe got just dropped at the wayside for whatever reason, you guys can call my phone. If you got the bills on Friday, you could have called myself, or you could have called the village administrator, Kiefer. So if the board has a question or issue, they can pick up the phone and call us, and it will be resolved. That's why I keep saying to the board of trustees, call my phone. That's why I say that all the time, because people will lie, people will say anything to save themselves. So just call me. That's it, and we can clear it up. So now it is clear. Clerk Key.
Yeah, you guys, just call her. Come on. It's going to solve everything. She's going to answer all your questions. Everything's going to be just, rainbows and butterflies. I think we all can agree by now that Tiffany talks just to hear herself talk sometimes. The scary thing is she might really believe what she says is true though. But I don't want to keep going down this rabbit hole of the past because, as you guys know, we can always find contradictions and double standards, okay, when it comes to Tiffany Henyard. But instead, let's go ahead and get back to this Board of Trustees meeting where we have former Mayor Lori Lightfoot exposing the true financial state of Dolton. Let's watch.
And as I mentioned, due to the village's failure to conduct an audited financial statement, we have to caveat the accuracy of the information, but we feel fairly confident based upon lining out not only the monthly reports, but looking at bank statements that match up with the information that's in the financial reports. And we've had the opportunity to talk to some of the folks at the Kasperick firm who are responsible for managing the finances of the village, and that work is ongoing. As of May 30th of this year, the village's general fund was in a net deficit position, meaning that there is insufficient funds in that general fund. Next, you can see is a graphic that depicts where we started as of April, where the village started as of April of 22, with positive of $5.6 million in the general fund, and where we are as of May of 2024, which is a negative $3.65 million.
Now, I'm not a financial guru or anything like that, but I think even a 2-year-old could look at this and see up good, down bad. Okay? I think that would be a pretty good analysis of it. It's just not looking good at all, you guys. Let's go ahead and continue.
Just kind of as a summary now, just quick numbers. So in a 2-year span, we're talking about a $9 million swing or $9 million of deficit over that course of time. Would that be most accurate?
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to say, while I was watching Lightfoot give her presentation of the finances in this bar graph type format, it reminded me of Tiffany. And when she presented her little presentation at Thornton Township budget meeting. So we're going to go ahead and watch a clip of that. And in that, we will see Tiffany explaining and educating the residents, of course, because she always likes to educate people about the financial state of Thornton Township. I think after seeing this presentation by Lori Lightfoot, they might have some doubts themselves over there in Thornton Township about the presentation that was given by Tiffany. Let's go ahead and watch, and then I'll chime back in.
All right, so this is something that we put together for everybody. So it's the graphs, it's the same thing that Trustee Brown and everybody else went over. So it's basically the deficit versus the surplus. So we have a package as well that if you would like this information, that way you can educate yourself on what's going on here at Thornton Township. Like I said, people keep feeding you stuff, but y'all don't ever want to hear another side and us show you actual truth. You ask for transparency, here it is.
So basically the point she's trying to make with this graph is that before she got into the supervisor position at Thornton Township, the town was doing horribly. It was in a deficit. And now that she's there, everything is just honky-dory. Everything is great. Everything's in the plus. Now, what I'm going to show you guys as it relates to this budget in Thornton Township is this page from it. Now, what this page shows is the revenues that come into the township. And of course, most of it is property tax revenue. And then also a big chunk of that is grant revenue. And the grants are something that we hear Tiffany talk about continuously, right? It's something that they've battled over with in Dolton, but it's also something that's been brought to light by this guy right here, this resident named Paul Roberts. Let's hear what he has to say about the grant money as it relates to the budget.
3 of the trustees have already heard my observations on the proposed budget, and that's encouraging. We taxpayers need to know what is so urgent that we must double expenditures, give township staff salary increases averaging 50%, and plunge the township $6.3 million further into the red, or $12.3 million further into the red in just 1 year if the grants don't materialize. I'm not the only one here who noticed the importance of grants in the budget. Last year, the township declared $6.5 million in grant money as income, which helped create the appearance of the surplus that the supervisor has been bragging about. Unfortunately, as of last week, that grant had not yet been received, although Finance Director Hunt assures the trustees that it will arrive by the end of the month.
So, as you can see, he was questioning the grant money because it hasn't been produced yet. Just like over in Dolton, the trustees questioning Tiffany Henyard when she's continuously spending money, doing projects, building basketball courts, building ice rinks, all the while saying, don't worry about that. That was done through donations. That was done through grant money.
Stuff that was supposed to be sponsored, that was told to be sponsored, we're paying for.
For the record, things that are sponsored, I did get sponsorships for. The only thing you could possibly be talking about is the basketball courts. I got the entire amount through donations.
But what's the pattern we're seeing, right? She's the common denominator with the same issues in both Thornton and in Dolton. And to be completely honest, you guys, she's really not convincing when she's saying these things. To show you an example, I'm going to show this clip from the Thornton Township budget meeting where she mentions about being audited, but she didn't really solidify that comment. So I'll just let you guys hear it because it's just kind of crazy the way she said it. Let's watch.
It's a lot of people that's disgruntled, that don't work here no longer, that has an attitude, but they riled y'all up, but didn't rile y'all up when they was here, and it was in a deficit. Now it's in a surplus, and now they got you here thinking people are doing something wrong. Everybody have been doing everything going up, and that's why you get audited. We have won financial awards, so if we're doing bad.
So did you guys catch that? It's almost like she caught herself from actually lying about being audited. Let's hear it again.
Up, and that's why you get audited. We have won financial awards. We have won financial awards.
So you guys, it sounded like she was going to say we have one financial audit, but it kind of just trailed off. It kind of just trailed off into nothingness. Like she knew she was lying, I feel. And so she didn't even want to finish that sentence, okay? Because she didn't want to deal with more questions about when did the audit happen, who did the audit, because it probably didn't happen.
While we win awards, we're winning awards, we're doing giveaways. We make sure that you know about the township. When we do the outreach program, and every single outreach program that we have done, we have increased the numbers here at Thornton Township.
So, and then she goes on to talk about, we make sure you know that we're doing our job, basically. Like, we make sure you know about the free services at the township that your tax dollars pay for. Like, she's doing people a favor. And she talks about the giveaways, and these are the tactics she uses to give the appearance that she's doing all this. In reality, all these services were there before, but, she wants to put her name on it. It's all about branding her for political purposes, for future references. So when it comes time to vote, hopefully she's given out enough free stuff to people where she's now in their favor and they just go ahead and give her vote just because. All right, enough of that, you guys. Sometimes I feel like I start rambling on because it's just so much there to unpack at times with Tiffany Henyard. But let's get back to the trustee board meeting with Lori Lightfoot and let's hear some more of the information that she was able to bring to light.
Right. Turning now to the increasing expenditures of the village. Over the last 3 fiscal years, the average monthly expenditures of the village have increased by nearly 30%. As you can see in the graphic, in fiscal year 2022, on average, the village spent about $1.9 million a month. but in the last fiscal year, that amount had climbed to $2.5 million. These increasing expenditures have not been accompanied by corresponding increases in revenue. Again, as you see in the graph on the blue bars, the revenues have remained relatively the same over that time period, just over $24 million, while expenditures have climbed from $23 million in 2022 to $30 million in 2024. Ultimately, in fiscal years 2023 and 2024, expenditures exceeded revenue. Specifically in 2024, it was over $5 million more in expenditures than revenues.
So you guys, like I said, I'm not a financial guru, but I can definitely say the first thing you start thinking about when building a budget or working with a budget is the income, right? In this case, it's called the revenue. What is the revenue? And from the looks of it, the revenue has not gone up, but the expenditures sure have over the years. And what it looks like to me is with this digging that Lori Lightfoot did, they're not counting that grant money because guess what? The grant money is not there, okay? I think by now it's safe to say that the grant money never came and that the grant money never will come. And one might think, well, why would she just sit up there and lie about getting grant money?
The deficit, we're at $1.5 million deficit right now. So obviously, and if we're not responsible for this money, we're going to take out more loans, more tax anticipation loans to pay for stuff that if we were running lean, because right now property taxes are slow. But right now the spending is bananas. And that's all I'm saying is that we just want to be patient, look at it, get some answers, to come in here and talk to our village administrator and the finance director to get some clear answers on what we're paying, why we're paying this much.
If you truly wanted to know the answer, Trustee Steves, you could have called me and asked, and then I would have gave you the answer so you wouldn't be up here just throwing things to the public. As it relates to what's on the agenda for a loan, it's because we do not and will not have our tax money in time, which we normally have. That's what it's for. It has nothing to do with paying for things that I have here, because the things that I'm paying for that's for community is through a grant. So please get your facts right before you speak. Please.
What grant we got? What grant we got?
See how all you want all the questions now?
Yes, he wants all the questions now. That's what the meeting is for. That's what everybody's here for. Oh my goodness, unbelievable, you guys. Unbelievable. But she doesn't stop. Let's continue.
I'm not going to go back and forth, but you can have a meeting with me. We can go over what grant we have and how we're building out the ice arena. So you can stop telling people that we're using funds of the taxpayers and this grant money that we're using to build these things that I'm creating. Just like I got another grant for $600,000 to build something else. So please get the facts before you keep lying to the public about what it is I am doing.
Well, as you guys can see, what she's saying is that she got grant money for the skating rink and all this other stuff, but still to this day, there hasn't been proof of those grants. So Tiffany, once again, always spending money before she has it. And unfortunately, this is something she was encouraged to do by one of the former attorneys that she had by her side when she first became a mayor, is to spend the money and then get board approval after that.
She said it didn't need to be approved. It didn't need to be approved because it was coming out the special event fund. So it didn't need board approval.
But I thought over a certain amount it needs board approval.
You can still give board approval. I didn't see anything that required a prior approval when it's already accounted for in your funding. Okay.
That's one other question, attorney. So you can go ahead and spend these funds and then approve it later? Is that what you're saying?
You can spend funds and get board ratification. As long as there's appropriation for it and the budget for it, the board can ratify the actions. Just like when you do a poll vote on action items and then you approve it at the next board meeting, it's similar to that.
So as we can see, she picked up this mindset, which is very non-transparent, which is what she ran on, okay, from that attorney when she first came into office. But all the projects and giveaways and parties and everything, all that stuff became really expensive, including the skating rink and the basketball courts. So she had to figure out another way to do it without the board's approval. And her way to do that was to put it in a form of quote unquote grant money so the board wouldn't worry too much about it, I guess she thought, which any responsible person who's supposed to be looking after finances, if you're banking on grant money, you need to at least provide proof to the trustees where the grant's coming from, what's the name of the grant, all that type of stuff. And another thing I've heard is that in order to get grants, you have to be audited, okay? And that wasn't happening in Dolton either. So safe to say, those grants never came. Let's continue with Lori Lightfoot.
To look further at the increasing expenditures, the table on the screen highlights the two village departments that are the main drivers of this spending increase: the General Administration and Administrative Compensation Department and the Police Department.
Within the police department expenditures, categories with large increases include overtime, other miscellaneous expenses, and I will tell you we don't know exactly what that is, but we're working on unpacking that, contractual services, other professional services, and medical insurance. We wanted to highlight for you, particularly given overtime, what we saw as two outliers in officers, Officer Terry Young and Officer William Reed. Both of these individuals in the last 2 years have earned more in overtime than their base compensation. And you can see these numbers here. Officer Terry Young in FY 2023 earned $194,290 total, given the base salary and the overtime. And then in FY 2024, that increased to $227,351, combining the base salary and the overtime. Officer Reed for FY 2023 had a total earnings of $145,450, and in FY 2024, $192,732.
So you guys, this is a result of those news stories and all those stories that we hear about Tiffany Henyard having security detail around the clock, okay? And her using the Dolton police for her personal security like she's the president of the United States.
And on Facebook, in videos posted by Henyard herself, we see her being driven around and surrounded by Dolton officers, which got us to wondering, why all the cops?
We weren't opposed to her having the security detail. We asked how long and how often.
Using hand-picked Dolton police officers, we obtained the work records for 6 of the officers assigned to Henyard's security detail at various times and showed them to some of Dolton's trustees.
This is a Freedom of Information request we did to see how much overtime these officers are making on her security detail.
Oh, wow. 162 hours.
162. Well, that's nothing. What goes through your mind when you see these numbers?
It's disappointing. It's frustrating.
The officers are paid every 2 weeks, which without overtime is 80 hours. But when they're put on Henyard's detail, that 80 hours balloons to well over 100 hours. And in the case of Officer Terry Young last May, 303 hours worked over a 2-week period. That resulted in a single paycheck of more than $13,000.
The bad thing about this is that all these tax dollars and everything, they're paying for the police to protect one person. Okay? Just think about that. They're not paying the police overtime to protect the citizens more. It's to protect one person, one narcissistic person who believes that everybody is out to get her and that the world revolves around her. I think the only people out to get her right now is probably the FBI with all these things that are coming to light right now. It's really not looking good for Dolton's financial state. And I'm sure this is something that the trustees knew. I think that the realness of it is just really sinking in now that they're able to get kind of a glimpse into what's happening. I can't imagine what the true impact of everything is, but we do know from that last board meeting, Trustee Kiana Belcher was pissed. Okay,
We have to be realistic. Realistic is there's no more money. Anything we can sell, we need to sell it. If you want to get outside, we'll sell you too.
And like I said, she wasn't holding back. She even cursed at one time. She was just completely over it at that point because they've been constantly fighting for transparency, and they have been constantly saying that Tiffany is running the town further and further into a deficit. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, you guys. So for the grand finale, we're going to look at one more thing that really stuck out during this meeting, that really showed how crazy and out of control the spending is.
We understand from the records we've received from the Kasperick company and interviews that we've conducted that receipts for credit card purchases are rarely provided. Further, we understand that the credit card balance, because it comes due, of course, every month, we all know that, is paid as a matter of course. And it was reflected in the accounting records as miscellaneous police department expenditures. We're looking into what is the reason and rationale for that. But what this means is that these credit card bills that are paid do not appear on warrant lists and are therefore not presented to the board for approval. We want to highlight a couple of credit card purchases. You're having the same reaction that we did when we saw this. So in particular, we were very concerned to see the top 3 purchases that were highlighted for you that were booked on January 5th of 2023. That's roughly $40,000, a little more than that, in credit card purchases on Amazon in the same day.
Yes, you guys, you heard it right. Tiffany and company spent over $40,000 on Amazon in one single day. It's kind of heartbreaking though, because this is the taxpayers' money, okay? And could you just imagine what the trustees would have done if they actually could see what was going on, especially Kiana Belcher? Just imagine, because you got to remember there are multiple times where the trustees are saying, hey, when are we going to get the credit card statements? We haven't gotten the credit card statements since such and such date.
You all say out of your mouths, we have credit card statements that we don't have. They're missing. They're clearly missing if we do not have them, if they were not emailed to us, if they were not sent to us. And as we all know, my viewpoint access, our access has been denied. I remember as a trustee, you sat in that very seat and you stated to the mayor at the time that you would not blindly vote on bills that you've met on things that were purchased that you cannot present receipts or evidence for.
Credit card invoices. I've asked at the last board meeting, and I don't know if you guys recall, the mayor stated that we could put the credit card bills on the warrant list. It is not on here. I've asked, and I cannot approve bills and not know what I'm approving because I have nothing in front of me to say the mayor could have went on a trip with the credit card. How would I know? Because the bill is not in front of me. So again, Mayor, what happened to you putting the credit card bills on the warrant list?
I don't put the credit card bills on the warrant list, and you have the opportunity to vote no on anything that's on the warrant list.
I understand my rights as a trustee. I don't need you to inform
So
me. My question was, I asked for you to place it on the warrant list.
I don't put things on the warrant list.
No. Last board meeting, you stated we can, and it's not on here. The credit card bills. You're making up things that sound good for you or what you feel that you want doing or whatever with a credit card. Stop. It's all like a spin cycle up here. That's all y'all do. And it's not on here. The credit card bills. I would like to see itemized credit card bills on the warrant list moving forward for the record, because I cannot make good decisions based off of the information you're giving me without the credit card bills. I need that. Other than that, I am voting blindly, so is the entire board. So I would advise the board to look into that and understand what they're voting for, because we're just voting for stuff and not knowing what we're approving. Well, the problem I have with you guys coming to board meetings and acting as though y'all don't get things, I don't appreciate. I think this year you should tell the truth that you guys don't do your job. And if you need information, you should ask for information that you feel you need.
She knew if they were to find out what was really going on, she would have been out of there. And I think Tiffany knew that. That's why she wanted to hide all the evidence from them. Because without them having the evidence of the spending, there's really nothing they could have done. You know, all they can do is accuse her, and she can just continually say, call my phone, and that's not what's going on, and the trustees are lying, like she's been doing. But now that there's proof, we're going to see how this plays out. My thing is, when I look at this, what is she buying at let's see, Walgreens. They're like 2 purchases of Walgreens of the same amount, okay? You have these huge purchases on Amazon. It looks like some of these things could be gift cards. Could this be stuff she used for, you know, the big bingos, the free giveaways, using the taxpayer money to buy them their own gifts? Like, that's what it's looking like. And also just buying whatever the heck probably she wanted to, and her administration buying whatever they wanted to, you know, just on the taxpayer's dime. So as we can see, Tiffany Henyard had a lot of reasons to hide the finances from the trustees and from the residents. But I have a feeling the Tiffany Henyard saga is just beginning. And now that the veil is finally getting lifted on all the things that have been done in the dark, we're going to see how things play out. So you guys, that's going to be it for today. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave it a like. And if you're new here, subscribe.
So when you state facts, state the truth. State facts that make sense. You're making up things that sound good for you or what you feel that you want doing or whatever with a credit card. Stop.
Amazon account. These are somebody using one of the credit cards and charging these amounts using your tax dollars.
But yet, if you guys want any information, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say it again. All y'all have to do is ask. All y'all gotta do is call me. I tell all y'all that. Don't none of y'all call me. And all you gotta do is call if y'all wanted any type of information, any. But no one calls my phone.
There are 2 phones that, where were they left? There are 2 phones that were left in the bathroom. 2 phones left in the bathroom.
Yes, ma'am.